Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today's a special episode. Not only was it my choice,
which makes it special by itself.
Exactly. But also joining me in person is Rick.
Pleasure to be here. Very nice house.
Thank you, I guess.
Yeah, no, I was expecting like a trailer, but whatever.
Well, you've been here several times before.
That's true. I was still expecting a trailer. But at least for me to sleep in. Yeah, I'm considered a second class
plebeian?
Plebeian, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I prefer a ditch. It's going to be warmer for you.
Could be, just cover me with dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gets cold out here.
You don't need to breathe.
Just dig me up when the podcast is there, just thaw me out a little bit. Remind me what we're supposed to watch, and we can just keep going. I won't have amnesia, at least.
Much like our main protagonist, at least the key one.
Yeah.
Golden Time came out in 2014, October. It ran for 24 episodes, and the producers for it were Genco and Starchild Records, with a studio of J.C.Staff.
Slight correction. It came out in October 2013, ran to March 14.
Right. Yes. What did I say?
You said October 14.
Okay. My bad. Yeah. It originally came out in October 2013. The genres for it are comedy, drama, and romance. And if I'm not mistaken, you would even include
slice of life, only because it's your choice. And it gives me that kind of feel. I'm really surprised it didn't have a slice of life thing. Schizophrenia as well, but
well, much like the 80s, amnesia was everywhere and every single case was unique.
Yeah, this is not unique. This is anime.
This is anime. This is very much a soap opera.
Yeah. It played out like one, although unlike the soap operas that I used to watch when I was a kid, these actually kept my attention. Like there's a few shocking points that I was not expecting, and I was very, very pleased to see it did not give me cliffhanger. It gave me bookends.
That is one of the things that I really enjoyed, is that it gave bookends rather than try and
pretend it was going to go on for another series or another season.
Yeah. What's one of the things that really speak to me in the very beginning of the show, how it really starts off, is you don't know the main protagonist, Banri, has amnesia.
Yeah, that comes almost as a secondary thought, which I thought was really a unique way to present this. So in the first episode, he's late for his college exams or college entrance orientation. And he shows up late because he just moved to Tokyo. And his first thought as to try to figure out where to go would be to ask someone, right? That's the logical step. So he went and asked someone, and they told him exactly where to go, and no story needed to prove. Actually, that's not what happened. That's what should have happened, but that's not what happened. What happened was he overheard, creepily, I might add, two young ladies talk about going to the exact place he needs to go, and then decides, instead of asking, I'm going to creepily follow her. And I knows it's creepy because he's like, this is creepy. If someone sees me, they're going to have questions. But this is how I got to do things.
Yeah, which brings to question his overall sanity and mental well-being, like right off the bat. Because I don't know about you, but in 2013, which is 7 years ago from the day of this recording, technically.
7 years.
Technically, it's closer to 6 years because it's October 2013.
Fair, but yeah.
But still, they have smartphones. He even has a smartphone. Even if you were to take into consideration that he is poor as hell, comes from a poor family, and got in on some random luck into this college.
Highly expensive and prestigious college.
Exactly. He follows them into a 7-Eleven-esque store that has maps in it.
Yeah. And the only reason they went into the store was because the girls, on a whim, without realizing someone's following them, and actually, there are two people following. We'll get to that. But how did two girls, oblivious enough to not notice two people following you?
Well, in all honesty, Banri, the main protagonist, he's following the girls.
Yeah.
Our next protagonist, because there's 4 of them total. Well, 3 of them total. 4.
Yeah, I think 4 would be accurate.
Mitsuo is following Banri. So Banri is following the girls, and then Mitsuo
is following Banri. Okay.
Exactly. So they're not being followed by two guys. You have a guy that's creepily following them instead of asking them how to get to where they're going. And then you have a guy who's creepily following a couple of girls following him creepily, who within 5 minutes of the show and them meeting that he's actually pretty wealthy.
Yeah. So he should have a phone by himself. He should have one of the phones we don't have yet.
Exactly. The other thing is that when they go into the 7-Eleven-esque store, there are maps. So even if he was too scared to ask him and he walks into the store, instead of being worried about trying to continue to follow them creepily, he could have bought a map instead of ice cream.
But good looks on the girls, though. Maybe they realized this was going on and like pretended to make a fake purchase only to return it and run. But they go into the store and they're like, I want ice cream. And Banri's like, I don't want to be suspicious, so I'm going to grab ice cream too. They walk up to the counter and then get a text. You can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. Get a text and return the ice cream and run out the store because so-and-so is supposed to meet them there like 2 minutes ago, so they're in a hurry. So for him not to be creepy, he kind of has to pay for the stuff, which stalls him just enough to lose where everyone's going.
Exactly.
And he's outside eating his ice cream, his fail ice cream, sad and going, I don't know where to go. And this other dude, which happens to be Mitsuo, show up and he's like, so what's up? Starts eating ice cream next to him. And you find out that Mitsuo also doesn't know where to go, which is kind of weird to me because not only is he wealthy and he should have a phone, he went to the orientation and I assume attended said orientation. So they should have told him where to go. There's no reason he should have been following Banri.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I actually have an issue with, right? So why at that point, like you both have money, you both have at least enough money to scrounge enough money together to at least buy a map. At the very least, you should not be creepily following people in general. Just throwing that out there. It's weird when you do it even unintentionally. When you're doing it intentionally, it's just that much
even
weirder.
Worse. Yeah.
Well, they somehow, this is the part that I don't get. They somehow figure out how to get to the college.
I think they started they saw somebody else walking and were like, oh, let's go follow them. Because that worked so well the first time, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, they're on their way to where they're supposed to go. And you find out that Mitsuo comes from a wealthy-ish family, had a very prestigious school life, and he's going to the second-rate college, university, because of issues with the opposite sex.
Better known as he was being stalked, even though that's not what you first think.
Yeah, when I first heard that, I'm like, so he's
a sexual predator.
Yeah, and he's trying to run from his problems. Like, that's kind of a weird way to introduce a character who looks relatively straight-laced, and I would say in the story land, he's kind of handsome as far as that goes. He was made to look not kind of like, well, actually, kind of like a model, considering a job he takes on later. And he, in the middle of him explaining that he's got, opposite sex issues and doesn't change schools specifically because of that, a taxi rolls up and this absolutely drop dead, stunning, gorgeous chick hops out of the car. And you're like, wow, this girl is in all white with roses. And you're like, whoa, this is pretty serious. She walks up and then, without an introduction, smacks the crap out of Mitsuo with the roses. And she goes, by the way, I dethorned them on the way here so they won't scratch you. Congratulations on your entrance.
Yeah, and so that's your first real introduction to Kaga,
who's also a very prominent main character.
I would say the very two top prominent main characters are actually Banri and Kaga, simply because it really does revolve around them.
It doesn't start off that way, but it eventually gets there.
And it gets there quick enough for you to be able to...
First 4 episodes.
Yeah. So Kaga actually went to the college because that's where Mitsuo was, and in her mind said that she was actually going to marry Mitsuo because they've been together since they were children and she knows everything And you learn exactly how much that is.
It's everything. She could recognize swim trunks that are Mitsuo's from
the look.
Hey, those are Mitsuo's. And he's like, wait, what? Yeah. He got those when he was in 7th grade. You're in college now. How do you remember that?
Yeah, I wouldn't remember that. Heck, I wouldn't remember what I wore in 7th.
Seriously, though. I mean, I was a lot smaller, so I probably ripped them, but still, like, how? And I just thought of something. Why is Mitsuo giving his 7th grade swim trunks to a full-grown college student?
Because Banri
why do they fit?
Because Banri is the size of a 7th grade student.
I didn't get that. Like, I felt like he was a full-grown, like, kid, like a full-grown guy.
Yeah.
But it just, that just occurred to me. That's.
I don't know. I don't even think, honestly, I don't remember them exactly specifying or calling out the exact.
Middle school is what I got out of it.
Yeah.
But okay.
At some point, he had a couple pairs of swim trunks, and so Banri was wearing one of them. So also in the first episode, we've already talked about Kaga, Banri, Mitsuo, but there's one more character that just barely gets introduced at the end, and her name is Linda.
Oh, Nana. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why they call her Linda, or at least she introduces herself as Linda, is because her name is Nana Hayashida. And she goes, for whatever reason, everyone just calls me Linda. And so that's what she's called. And there's actually a side character whose name is Nana. Now, interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing. There is actually a series called Nana, where both main characters, whose name is Nana.
I was going to say, they're named George, huh?
Yeah. So what's even more interesting about it is that Nana, the supporting character Nana in this, who's a punk rocker-esque,
like heavy metals. I had to look this up because I was like, there's no way this is real. She is a scream rocker.
Yeah.
Like that's the genre of song. You just yell into a mic, screaming it, and ironically enough, you can actually damage your vocal cords really severely.
Oh yeah.
By doing this the wrong way.
Yeah. So be careful when you try it.
Yeah.
But they kept the portion where her look and style is almost exactly what it is in the Nana anime.
Really?
Yeah, in the Nana anime, she is also in a band, and she is a punk rocker band.
I'm thinking you might have gotten some inspiration from that. I was wondering why you brought that up, but that makes perfect sense. The correlation, who knows? Could be the same Nana.
No, unfortunately, I thought about that, but Nana is not her real name in this anime. It's just her nickname.
Okay, fair. Anyway, so this is, again, in the first episode.
Which is really great at setting up a premise as to who everyone is.
Yeah.
But what really makes this anime different is that as it progresses on, that's when the stories and information about the characters and their backstories and how they know each other or what's going on with them really comes to light. And it does it in such a way that it
can definitely become confusing if you're not paying attention. If you skip an episode, you're going to miss some stuff.
Exactly, because they will reference it at some point in some way, even subtly.
Which I thought was really awesome, but at the same time, kind of genius.
Yes.
Because this is a 24-episode anime. They didn't have to rush anything. I almost wish they did some parts, but they didn't have to rush hardly anything, and there was still very little filler going on.
Yeah,
if any. Well, I mean, I would argue that the beach day was a filler, but there was one, and every anime that I've seen recently has a beach day.
Right, but the beach day really helped set up the growing portion of it for Kaga. It really set it up. So everyone's going to the beach, they're all having a great time, it's raining or whatever, and so, Banri goes, let's have some fun, whatever, this and that, and it sets it up to where everyone's going home, and because the whole time Kaga is saying she's an adult, she's acting like she's an adult, she dresses and all this other stuff. Her whole mentality is that she's an adult. everyone else is like telling her, hey, you need to take it easy, take it back, or this and that, and like tries to talk to her and things like that. But she just does whatever, and she feels like she can get away with it with no consequence. Well, what ends up happening is while she's driving, she actually falls asleep. Everyone else is asleep. Banri, he's tired too from the day. He's starting to fall asleep. And then you have Kaga, while driving, falls asleep. And Banri, because he has this dream, for whatever reason, wakes him up, and he wakes up just in time to hit the brake
and to save everyone.
Exactly.
We'll get to that because that was pretty powerful. But yeah, that was definitely a growing point for Kaga. Which
that's also a great setup for how she truly recognizes herself and how Banri actually feels about her.
Yeah, this is a really in-depth anime. Like if you watch this and don't feel anything, I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly.
It didn't make me cry.
No.
But it definitely made me feel like, what the hell?
Right.
Like, why? It made me question a lot of things. Made me more angry than anything else, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But so moving. So let's go ahead and take a little bit at Banri, specifically on what brings us to this point. And you find out, I want to say what, episode 2 or 3, something like that?
I would say probably episode 3.
Okay. So the theme is Coco has Koga. Sorry.
Kaga?
Kaga. It's a vowel.
Kaga. Kaga.
Kaga is just pestering Mitsuo, and Mitsuo from most of the anime is called Yana. Was that Yana?
Yana, mainly because of his last name, and his last name is Yanagisawa.
Okay, so it's just a shorter version, just honorific and stuff like that. You find out that she is so focused on Mitsuo that she's willing to go to great lengths to knock everyone else out of the way in her own life. She only needs Mitsuo. She doesn't need anybody else. So she seems very unapproachable. And it's remarked a few times. And one of the only people to actually approach her is when Banri's talking to her and he's starting to feel sorry for her. And this lady comes up and says, hey, we're starting a club. We want you to join. We're from another campus, but we're all in the same branch. It's a 3-day, 2-night, and we provide everything. You just got to show up. We'll take you.
For the first trip.
For the first, yeah. Little asterisk there for the first trip. And they're all sanctioned, so they fill out all their information. They do everything like that. And the time comes, and Kaga decides that she's going to go, and Banri decides he's going to go. And their mutual friend, 2D-kun, goes. Now, he's named 2D-kun mainly because he decides he no longer wants to deal with 3D girls. He's only with the 2D world, which was hilarious. And so they go, and we find out that it's not an actual club, it's a cult. And
surprise!
Yeah, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. And in an effort to save everybody, when they find out it's a cult, like it's an indoctrinating thing, they've been there for the last
couple hours,
4 hours, something like that. 4-hour video they had to watch, and they're sitting down for dinner, and they're like, I kind of want to go. And they're like, actually, you can't. Everyone says that at first. We'll sue. Yeah, we've got that covered too. You'll be fine. Just stick with us for the weekend, and
your mind will be opened.
Yeah, you.
And at that point, that's when Banri, changing some of the names or changing some of the details just enough, he to make it so that way he's more believable. He's like, I really find my place here because of this. He actually goes into some detail saying, I suffered an accident. I have amnesia. I remember nothing from a year and a half ago, which is all true. What's not true is that he doesn't feel at home here. He doesn't really want to be there. He's just using himself as a scapegoat because his story is true, giving everyone a chance to go. He goes, so for everyone that doesn't want to be here, just let them go. And all the cultists are like, yes, we really should focus on him, really cultivating him. And we can learn from his story too. And at that point, when everyone's gone, basically, it's just Banri there. You turn around and Kaga decides like, oh, I actually want to stay too. And this and that.
She walks right back in to the lion's den. He's like, are you dense, woman? I don't actually believe this. I'm trying to get you guys out of here. I'm trying to save myself, but I'm trying to save us all because I can escape later. I'm sure of it. I just got to let them trust me. But with you here, we're going to have some issues. And she goes, you're thinking too much.
Yeah. And they actually do escape because he already built the trust. He's like, hey, I'm an amnesic kid and I actually feel at home here already and this and that. He's like, oh, we need to put her bag with all the other ones. Give me the key. And they don't think about it, giving him the only key basically to the bag room where all their private information is too. And that's how they escape.
They grab all the personal information, I think they leave her luggage there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just start running. And they're like, crap, we got to get him. And so the cultists take flashlights and start chasing everyone. And it's really tense. And then when they get far enough away, they actually have a heart-to-heart talk. And you realize, no, that he was being serious. Like, the amnesia thing is real. And
that's really at that point when Kaga really starts connecting with Banri, and that's when you really start learning about him and his growth.
Yeah. And as they're running away, they actually find Linda, and he goes, Barbara. And she's like, no, it's Linda. And as much as I'd like to say that didn't affect me, it affected me a whole lot later once I realized the significance of that.
Yeah. Because
she's like, oh, you should join our club. The entire time this is going on, everyone's trying to recruit them, which is why they got, abducted. For some reason, I don't know. I guess that joining a club in college and apparently high school is really important to everyone. And they're real aggressive when they try to recruit.
It's like that for a lot of people. I remember back in high school, it was like that for me. A lot of people were trying to recruit me for their club because you do have to have a certain number of members and keep interest going in the club. Otherwise, the club shuts down.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so you can't have a club with like one or two people.
Well, I was part of a really popular club. I think we all know the chess club.
Yeah, actually. It's super popular, even to this day.
Yeah. Well, I still get calls back for those epic tournaments. The golden days. Golden time, if you will.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no. So Linda is in the festival club, and basically they just dance and throw festivals. It sounds kind of awesome. I'm not going to lie. I might have even, watched, but there's no way in hell I would dance with them because I would be a robot, very much like
Kaga.
Kaga's new nickname, Robo Kaga. And it went,
Robo Coco.
Robo Coco. Yeah, sorry. So long story short, they do join that club eventually. But you find out later that the amnesia part is incredibly prominent. And I want to say in an episode later, you see a phantom image of himself.
Yeah. And it's actually the phantom image really comes up when Linda is visiting Banri's neighbor, Nana. And so he actually goes outside, he sees her and they're talking, and then he just snaps and he goes, I want to go back. And he immediately snaps back. He goes, what did I just say? What happened? And Linda, without blinking an eye, just says, oh, you've nodded off for a second. Why don't you go back to bed?
Ooh, that's sinister.
But she also understands why she needs to do that, because it's just going to cause confusion for him because he doesn't remember her. And you learn that Linda was his high school love interest. He loved her deeply.
In a very similar way. Well, not in a similar way, but a similar emotion that Kaga has towards Mitsuo, where they were always together. They were always, like, it was assumed they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And you find out through like flashbacks that everyone's very dishonest with themselves.
Yeah. The only one that actually was never dishonest with himself was Banri.
No, that's not true, because Linda was talking to a bunch of her school friends in a flashback, and she was like, no, I don't like him at all. And then you hear her present day person saying that, no, that was all a lie. It was actually completely reversed. I liked him a lot. And
well, it's not even present day. It's they flash forward like a week because he's hurt by what she said because he overheard her.
Yeah.
And so she said it's completely reversed. And so at that point, he forgives her because she was saying like he's like an annoying brother and this and that. And she knew how he felt, but he couldn't believe it because he was hurt. And when the day before the accident, he actually said, I need to have an answer. You can't leave me in limbo anymore. You know how I feel about you. Will you be with me? Will you go out with me? Yes or no? I need an answer. And she goes, give me overnight to think about it. And that's when they have the accident.
Yeah, he's waiting on the bridge they're supposed to meet at. And part of the reason that Linda is beating herself up, I would say, is she was late and some person on a motorcycle was driving on the bridge and he fell off, hit his head, and he lost who he was from that moment back. Or so he thinks, because that phantom image that you're seeing occasionally, who's literally cursing him, he's like, how dare you take my body? You're an imposter. I'm going to make your life a living hell. I'm going to rain the most unlucky actions in your area until I get my body back because you stole this from me.
And it really plays throughout and it continues on. And sometimes even that old version of Banri comes back. And when he comes back, and when he actually does come back, he takes over the body and he doesn't remember what happened after the accident. He knows from the memories of the accident and before, but nothing after that.
Well, he doesn't even remember the accident. He just remembers being on that bridge.
Well, he remembers being knocked off. And that's it. But because he constantly remembers it. And even the ghost, the spirit, he goes, I'm looking at myself at that accident. But what really happened, what's going on is when he actually comes back, he forgets everything that's happened for the last year and a half, which is why maybe because of that accident, he had developed a split personality.
Yeah, that's why I was saying more schizophrenia than amnesia, because it's not one of those things that you can just cut a chunk of your life out, you know?
Yeah.
And you can't photocopy yourself and superimpose yourself onto your memory bank and it's, overwrite, things like that. And whereas with a split personality, I would assume that's possible because you have yourself thinking it's completely normal, going through life, creating these relationships. Specifically in this anime, the relationship with Kaga. They get to the point where Kaga realizes that she doesn't love Mitsuo. She loves the idea of him. And she never gave herself a chance to look at somebody else. And when Banri was so close so often, she, I guess, developed feelings for him. And he confessed first. He says, look, I love you. I need to be in your life as your boyfriend or not at all. This is too painful to go on this way. I can't pretend anymore. And she tells him no, like, I can't do that to you. I still love Mitsuo. And while she's lying to herself, the audience knows that. But he's like, all right, fine, forget I ever existed.
Yeah.
And that's a huge theme.
That is a very huge theme. He's like, fine, don't even talk to me. I can't do it. And when he walks through and he's basically ignoring her, that's when she really realizes. Like when it's like in that context, she's like, actually, I do. When that's happening, I do love him.
Yeah.
I can't actually imagine myself being without him. And so Kaga develops those feelings and realizes that she does love Banri. She also doesn't understand, though, because Banri's still keeping it a secret, that he's slowly starting to regain his memories or not regain his memories, I should say.
The memories are taking over.
Or he's understanding how his life was before. So he saw a picture of him and Linda from high school, and Kaga saw it, and he didn't say anything to her. She just took it from the apartment, hoping that he would be willing. And when he finally talks to her about it, he goes, I don't know. I know that the old Banri loved Linda. I love you. But sometimes my body, my heart screams for Linda, and it breaks her heart. And in an effort to try and smooth everything over, he tells Linda, who after he realizes that they know each other, he needs her to pretend that they never knew each other before. They need to act like they're complete and total strangers.
And this anime makes it feel like people think it's just that easy. Like, I can pretend I never met you. I never knew you. Like, for instance, you, Jack, if we got into a fight and you're like, forget I ever knew you, I'd be like, what the hell? Stop being an idiot. I might have to come smack you around a bit. Get smacked myself. But it wouldn't be that simple because people fight for relationships they care about. Not that I'm saying that you're not sexy and anything, but
oh yeah,
just not my type.
So
but, I mean, you know what I mean? Good friendships are worth fighting for. And even if something were to have happened to, let's say, my memory, there are people in my life who would not stop until I either regained the relationship I once had with them or I regained my memories of that relationship. You don't give up on somebody if you care. And Linda obviously cared.
She did, but also at the same time, she was struggling with herself in that she didn't really fight for that relationship. She didn't fight for it, mainly because she felt guilty.
And she blamed herself.
Exactly. But
all the more reason to try harder.
Exactly. It's this show, honestly, as a whole, really touches on a lot of points. And it doesn't really make you emotional or cry, even though it has some points where it can sucker punch you right in the gut.
Yeah.
But it's one that really causes you to reflect, because Banri's going through the whole range of emotions of trying to understand who he is and trying to fight off the memories that are coming back. And his friends, Mitsuo and the supporting character of Oka and Turi, they don't know. Like, Turi, he kind of has an idea. He doesn't know if it's real. Mitsuo, he doesn't know at all. And Oka, she doesn't know at all. And Oka is a supporting character who is in there kind of throughout it, because she's in the same club as Mitsuo.
She was a weird one. You got introduced to her by like a cute little girl who claims to like both boys and girls so long as they're pretty. And then Mitsuo confessed love for her in front of Kaga in order to tell Kaga to hit the road, like he's over her, to prove it. And it fell flat. And she's honestly the only tragic story in the entire show, in my opinion, because while everyone's dealing with their own crap, she actually did like Mitsuo, and her feelings were left, I guess, on hold or unrecognized.
Well, she does eventually move past it. So her and Tootie actually do, I feel, get together, because Tootie does like her.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen on screen. You just have to assume it does, you know?
Well, you also start getting the feeling that that's what's going on because of the relationship and the talking that those two are having, too.
I really hope it does, because 2D is a decent guy, kind of weird, but decent. And Oka, I keep thinking her name is Okachime or something like that. Oka is a really awesome person that, for lack of a better, I guess, way to put it, hides behind her camera. She's in the film club, and she has this camera that she, I guess, lives through, in the sense that someone who's not a part of life, someone who's afraid of being left behind.
She wants to really record basically memoirs of everything, like moments, emotions, and everything else.
That would make sense, because her parents kind of moved out, which gave her, that makes perfect sense, gave her a sense of abandonment issues.
Yeah, she didn't want to move. She wanted to go to the school that she was already admitted to, and her parents moved. So she was in this house alone. And you learn that pretty late in the series.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time to flesh out a character, you know?
But it makes a perfect point, too, at that time, because when she does her radical change and she's trying to struggle with her own emotions, and she sees, and Oka sees, Banri and Linda talking, she basically accuses him of cheating, and secretly, and she even says this, I was actually happy and I hope you would break up with Kaga, because then Mitsuo wouldn't be pursuing Linda anymore. Because Mitsuo, being a part of the film club, is doing everything he can to try and get close to Linda because he likes her. He wants to be with her. He wants to spend time with her. But Linda is so focused on Banri. Yeah. And so what ends up happening is when it really starts picking up steam on what's going on, just before Oka did that, before she walked in on him, Banri has an episode where he actually recalls and remembers everything, and the current mentality of Banri completely disappears while they're in the middle of an event, while they're performing, and he freaks out and runs because he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know anyone around him or why he's dressed in the way he's dressed. And he runs. And then Linda follows him, finds him, and says, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? This and that. You know, Kaga's looking for you. And when she says Kaga, that's when it triggers for him. That's when he remembers.
And he switches back.
And he goes, I'm remembering everything, but I'm forgetting everything that's going on. And that's when he really struggles too. He goes, is the current me going to disappear? Because I don't want to disappear. And that's something that's for him very real. And it's a very true fear, because if he does regain his memories, the current Banri will completely disappear. At least that's what you're led to believe.
That's what I think happens for a little bit too. But yeah, no, that's when he starts to really get scared. Like, I might not be here and I don't know when that's going to happen. And so he starts like doing memoirs, writing stuff down. He even starts with Oka recording himself with a message, not only to himself, but to his friends that he knows he's going to lose.
And what triggers him having Oka record this is when he and Oka were at his apartment, she arrived just beforehand because she wanted to, she arrived just beforehand because he invited everyone to his apartment because he wanted to tell everyone what Kaga already knew, is that he has amnesia and that he actually doesn't remember anything, and he's struggling with that. And while he's sitting there talking to Oka, and Oka wanted him to record her, in the middle of the recording, he stops and says, "Who are you? Why am I here? What's going on?" And then he just huddles over, dropping the camera, which then shows him yelling for Linda. And then Linda, who is next door with Nana, comes running over, and he finally remembers, and he goes, "Please don't tell Kaga that my memories are returning. I want to be with her." And at that point, you learn that it is a very real, and it will happen quick as to what's happening.
And everybody else sees that too, except Kaga, or so you're led to believe.
Yeah, she actually finds the video and she
breaks up with him.
Exactly.
She takes the initiative, and which surprised me. I thought she would fight a whole lot harder, if I'm being honest. I thought she would fight at all, but she just cuts ties and I guess feels a little betrayed because he can't tell her.
No, actually, why she was breaking up with him is because she feels like she is the problem. He was prescribed anxiety medication because of all of this.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's going on. And what's really happening is that he's struggling with it. And that's why he was prescribed anxiety medication. But because she feels like he's so worried about losing me. And that's what she got from the video. And having seen that he was taking anxiety medication, that he is so worried about her and that he loves her so much and he doesn't want anything to happen to her. She breaks up with him, hoping that alleviates the anxiety and stress and the weight off of him, making everything easier for him. Well, pretty soon, really soon after that, while everything's starting to he's finally realizing what's going on fully, and he makes that video. Mitsuo still doesn't know. 2D still doesn't know, but he's going to meet with them again and apologize and really kind of go through it and have Kaga there as a mediator, because he wants to really talk everything out, because also Mitsuo found out that he knew that Banri knew Linda and he doesn't know the story behind it. Well, while he's standing in front of the station and Kaga is walking up to him, and this is the part that really hit me, like right in the heart, the pain that she felt. Because he always said, I will never forget you. I will always love you. We are meant to be for each other. She's walking up with Mitsuo and he says, who are you? Why are you talking to me? Where am I? What's going on? To the woman he openly stated several times that he loves wholeheartedly. The pain that she felt is unimaginable, because they loved each other deeply, like insanely deeply. And he runs away, and then Linda actually finds him. And when they're driving by, going back to his apartment, he sees Kaga crying, like almost inconsolably crying, with Mitsuo right there, because he said straight to her face, he said straight to her face, who are you? And didn't even know her. After she had said, it's me, Kaga. And Mitsuo at first thought it was a joke, and then realized from her crying so deeply that it wasn't a joke.
I feel that's like right when they decided that it was going to be all on the table. You know what I mean? And he comes back to his senses literally long enough to finish what he had to do. And he got his affairs in order, called everyone he needed to, explain the situation so everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows that it's not an if, it's a when. He's going to forget everybody. And I would say it's more like a last will and testament, just writes everything out for himself to remember. And he gets Matsuo to help with the film club that he's been filming, essentially, to try to get close to Linda. He's been filming the festival club. They get kicked out because Banri and Linda run off. The original group still danced and stuff like that, but their association was shamed in front of the greater clubs.
And this is the first time that he forgot. And what ends up happening towards the end, for the last hurrah, Mitsuo helps bring back the status,
the support, if you will,
for the festival club by recording and showing that they actually do take pride in their work. And during the final performance,
this part got me.
Banri finishes up the performance and he called his mom. He said, I want you to come pick me up. And at the end of the performance, and this also got me too, he completely forgets everything for the last year and a half. He regains his memory and everything from the year from before the accident. And he looks at his mom and he goes, I'm home. And right there, it hits Kaga again that he now completely forgot.
Yeah. The significance of it is, as he's doing his dance in the festival, they pan to the crowd. Like, they're really trying to make you like feel. And everyone who has been in his corner, from Nana the rocker to her friends and all of his friends, they're just watching him dance. And he's going, this is not a bad life. And then at the bottom of the screen, you have the caption as he's fading into white. He goes, when the dance was done, I was gone.
Yeah. And so he goes home and he and Linda basically pick up where they left off in high school.
Kind of, because she didn't give him the answer.
She never does. She doesn't until the very end. She gives him an answer when they're on the balcony and she goes, my answer was no, of course.
Yeah. Which was a lie.
Yeah. But it really, at that point, when he's finally home and they pick up where they basically left off before the accident, before he wanted an answer, he gets a knock on the door at his home and it's Kaga. And now, one thing we didn't mention is when the cultist event happened, she had a mirror. And she had given Banri a copy or the exact same one that had please always remember me written on it. And so he saw that mirror in a box. It didn't have the writing on it, but it was a mirror. And when she came up, she's like, hey, I wanted to return this DVD to you. It also had the mirror in there. And he goes, oh no, isn't this yours? And she goes, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I must have accidentally dropped it in there.
Oh, it was intentional. It was intentional.
It was intentional. What's making this scene is very emotional too, because when he shows up and she wants to return it, he goes, oh, you must be Oka, calling her Oka. And then Linda comes up and you can see Linda's eyes. She's like, no, that's the love of your life. That's not Oka. And the gesture, the slight gesture from Kaga is, no, it's okay. I just wanted to see him one last time.
And then she asked, Kaga says specific things like trying to trigger his memory, which, God bless her. That was a good move as far as the writing goes, because that's like the last ditch effort you got. She says something to the effect of, hey, isn't there a famous bridge over here? And I'd like to go walking on it. And he goes, oh, the bridge I fell off of? It's right over there.
Yeah.
And they leave cordially, and she's just like walking. She gets in the taxi drives her away, assumingly to the bridge so she could walk across it. I guess that would signify to her that it's like
finally done. What's interesting though, what really jogs his memory is that mirror and the fact that he says on the back or sees on the back of it.
Remember.
Exactly. And for whatever reason that just jived with him, and he went upstairs, he's going through his stuff, and he opens up the box and sees the mirror. And that's when it all starts rushing back to him.
Well, here's why I think it was schizophrenia. He opens up the mirror that's not broke. He opens up the mirror that's not broken at all. And as he's looking at it, in his mind, the mirror shatters and everything comes back.
Well, it's because he was remembering his own mirror. His mirror was shattered, and that's the one that had the writing on it.
Yeah.
And so he remembers that, and then it goes back to solid, and then he starts going,
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, shit. I gotta go to my girl. That's my girl. Fuck. I need her to get to her before she leaves me forever. And so he starts running, and Linda chases him because he's in slippers, and she chases him and throws these sneakers at him when she finally catches up to him because, of course, he falls because,
you're in slippers.
Yeah. And so he falls, she throws him at him, and she's like, I knew I bought these for a reason. They're to get you to your love. He puts them on and runs, and when he gets to the bridge, he sees her and he's screaming, and he runs to her, and in the middle of the bridge there's a super fog. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And you see different images of him. And as he's walking by them, they all disappear until he faces himself at the very end. Himself wearing the exact clothes that he did when he lost his memory. And then you see Linda, for some reason, hug that version of him and say, you stupid idiot, my answer was yes. My answer was always yes.
And my answer is still yes. It's yes to you, my love for you, but also to your love to Kaga.
And it's also a yes to me, and I need to be true to myself.
Yes.
And I can only imagine that means she actually liked Mitsuo. And so she was just going to affirm that relationship was okay.
Yeah. And at the very end, you really get that because rolling credits, everything like that, she and Linda and Mitsuo make eye contact. She blushes. He's looking at her, and you know that they're going to get together. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
But also, you watch the video of him having recorded everything that went on. That video or that DVD that she was returning to him. And she's sitting there, Kaga is sitting there with him. and just completely happy and content because he finally did remember her.
Just like he always promised. Oh, I forgot. So their promise was that so long as he does not forget her, she will always be by his side.
And love him.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't remember her, she will be angry and she will hate him until he does remember her.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're looking at it and he goes, and this one I wanted to tell... He says, and this one I wanted to tell Kaga. You know what? I'm actually going to tell her myself.
And that basically sums up the story as a whole. So on a scale of up to 10, how would you rate this?
Honestly, 8. 8 if I had, it's between an 8 and a 9 because it was just awesome.
I love it. I would actually have to agree with you. I would also say an 8. It's a great show. It's wonderful. I loved it. I just wish there was some clarification on whether or not it was split personality or just a struggle with competing memories, and that's it. And then we got a conclusion on whether or not he remembers everything while keeping his new current memories.
Yeah, at the very end, it was weird. You felt like they merged into one, but there was no real like resolution because you know who's still there. The one that loves Kaga is still there, but you don't know if the one that loved Linda is, and that I can see that being frustrating.
Yeah. So next week is your choice, sir.
All right, my next week's choice I found from a thumbnail. Kind of looks kind of cool. We're gonna find out how it is. The name's really hard to pronounce. It looks like Namu Amida Butsu Utena. And from what we've seen, it looks like it's based off of a game. It's 12 episodes long. Looking at, April of 2019 to June of 2019. So it's fairly new. That should be good.
It is. It looks like it might be interesting. I don't know. Hopefully it is.
Based on fantasy.
So, I mean, like it is a genre fantasy, so it's based on a game from the looks of it.
Fair.
So why not?
Yeah. I'm always up to try new things sometimes. Always and sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, I believe that's it.
That's all the time that we have for today. Hope you enjoyed this week's choice. If you have any feedback on what you feel like we didn't cover enough, if you feel like you can reach out to us via email at featuredanimepodcast@gmail.com. You can even tweet at us at @thoseanimeguys. You also can join us in our Discord server. Link is in the description. And you can even leave us a voicemail. Link for that is also in the description or in the show notes. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I'm Rick. And we'll see you next time.